Have you got the audio working? Unlike when I started last week's live stream. That's what happens when you don't run the console for a long time. Welcome everyone into this Friday live stream. We are live. I'm your host, John Townsend. We're going to be talking about fun, yummy 18th century stuff today. We've got this great topic. Whenever we come up with one of these food topic ones, it's always great. It's always fun. Would you snap back? Give me one of the pudding slideshow shots real quick. I mean, just give me one image. I'm frozen. There it is. There it is. Hold on just a second. So this is a list of all the incredible puddings that show up in the 18th century. They have like a bazillion kinds of puddings, and we've done most of them on the channel one way or the other, right? So we started off with something like you can see up there the boiled pudding, which is the classic raspberry or classic raisin pudding that they call plums, but of course they're just raisins. But there are so many other ways to do puddings, and the reality is that pudding is all about the word for guts, right? It's like the original pudding was made inside of guts. And maybe I should just stop for a second and ask you what the problem is back there.
I think Will was confused.
The time vortex is being a little glitchy back here, but it actually seems to be working on your end. So
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
It just looks weird back here.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
The technicians of the time vortex are working on it.
Will,
Okay.
did you know that Dad had a stream thing that could switch?
I didn't realize he was using it again.
Oh, I see. We're just confused back here. It's okay.
So-
Lauren's not here today, guys.
That's right. Let me back up just a second. Ivy is on the chat window talking to folks, and Will is on the console, and Lauren is trying to take an actual day off, although she snuck into work for a little bit.
She did, but then I kicked her out again.
Some people are hard to make to not work, and Lauren is one of those. So she is, relax, just do it. It's more work to relax than it is to work for some people, and I understand that, and I can be that way. But puddings are so incredibly pervasive in the 18th century. So let me find this. One of the fun things whenever you're doing any kind of research work, did I print them out or did I not? Yeah. See, I did. I thought I was stupid there for a minute. One of the fun things is on any kind of topic, you say, well, does it show up in the Old Bailey records, right? Does it have anything to do with crime? And of course, everything, there's crime around every single thing. Is there crime around puddings? Yes, of course. We have 18th and 17th century pudding crime going on in England. Here is Elizabeth Jackson, a spinster who was indicted for stealing a linen shift, a linen bedgown, 2 checked aprons, a candlestick, a pair of women's pattens, which are shoes basically, a linen pocket, and 3 pounds of plum pudding valued at 1 shilling, as well as a quart earthen pan filled with beef a la mode. It's like, that's what you're going to steal? Clothing, and then maybe some pudding, and then some meat in a dish.
Had their priorities on straight.
It's like, give me the pudding. And then, so, the pawnbroker was consulted for the clothing, but of course, she didn't try to pawn the pudding. Apparently, she just ate that. The prisoner's defense. I was drawn in by 2 bad girls. I leave myself to the mercy of the court. Found guilty of stealing, and I think that what they do, if the value is too high, you're automatically transported in that time period or sentenced to death. I really didn't have very many choices. It's like, you can go to prison for a week or we'll kill you. You know, it was kind of like that. And what they did in this circumstance was find her guilty of stealing 10 pennies worth or 10 cents worth of goods, when obviously the value is much greater than that. They did that because they wanted to be able to sentence her at a lower, more obvious sentence. So that's what happened to that person. Here, I don't have the person who was, I just pulled the section out of the testimony that had anything to do. Sometimes it's not, puddings just show up in the testimony, right? So let's see here. This one's very interesting. So this was a court case that had to do with a boy that was sent with a package of clothing to be washed. And so he was like 12 years old or something like that. Yeah, he's 12 years old. And the judge asks him whether he can say his catechism. And then does he know the nature of an oath? Because they want to know whether he is, when he takes an oath, there to tell the truth, that he knows what the consequences are, right? And what happens to him is he's given a bundle of 5 shirts and a silk handkerchief, and in that is a piece of plum pudding in the silk handkerchief. I don't know if that's for him as a reward, or if he could eat it along the way, whatever. Anyway, he gets up on the back of a coach. So it's kind of like, grabbing a taxi, except you're jumping onto the back bumper of the taxi and riding along. So that's what he's doing. A couple other older boys jump up on either side of him and then steal his bundle of stuff. And he runs after him and stop thief and all that good stuff. And I'm not sure what happened to the pudding. I'm sorry, I don't have the best part of the story. What happened to the pudding? They probably ate it and he didn't have it anymore. Dang.
The truth is typically anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like whatever. John Hitchcock was indicted for stealing on the 13th of August a penknife, a pound weight of bacon, and a pound weight of pudding, and half a pint of Geneva gin. The goods of Mr. James Cox. So this one, it's like the testimony is always just weird. So the prisoner broke first into a pigsty twice. And then he broke into the house and stole stuff. I don't even know how to talk. And he apparently, the judge asks the plaintiff here, what did you lose? I lost a bit of bacon, a penknife out of a tea chest, the value of a half a pint of gin, and a bit of pudding. Now, it's not a bit of pudding, it's a pound of pudding, but and the person basically it's like admitted to it. Yes, I stole your stuff. The judge was sort of like, what is going on here? Why are these people like this? I also ran into a very fascinating, which I hadn't seen before, a diary that lasted for a long time for a clergyman in England. And he speaks a lot about going to people's houses and eating or eating at home. It's like one of the things he puts in his diary. It's like, I prayed today and then I ate pudding, right? So, and here is March 8th, 1780, And this was a kind of just a weird little story that pulled out of here. I breakfast, dined, and supped, and slept again at home. Sister Clark breakfasted, etc. here again, as did Nancy and Sam. We were very, I don't even know what he's saying here. After dinner today, having but a plain dinner. Viz, we had some hashed mutton, a plain suet pudding, and a couple of rabbits roasted. Sam made me rather angry at dinner when I asked Sister Clark if she would have the outside of the pudding or the first cut of it. Upon which Sam said, I hope you will not, madam, for you know that I always give the outside of the pudding to the dogs. So, if you will have pictures of the puddings, and they kind of, their boiled puddings have this kind of big ball of pudding on it, and apparently, they're just slicing it up, and it's sort of like the heel of bread. You get this outside slice of pudding, and apparently the one guy wanted to give that to the dogs, and he didn't want her to have the outside slice of pudding.
He probably cuts off the crust on PB&J's. It's just like
that kind of guy.
He likes Uncrustables.
Uncrustables, yeah.
So, but there were a ton of pudding references. He has all kinds of different puddings. He mentions plum puddings. This is a suet pudding. He mentions plain puddings. He mentions orange puddings and some of those others. And I will read out that giant list of puddings. It's interesting, and I've talked about it in some of the episodes before. The term pudding in sort of more typical modern, especially UK definition of pudding is, as far as I know, I don't live in Great Britain or United Kingdom, but can be a generic term for just dessert, right? It's like, I want pudding, and it isn't necessarily a pudding. It could be something else. And in America, pudding is kind of more of, if we use the term, most people think of a custard pudding because it's sort of commercially available. If somebody says you want a pudding, that's what you expect to get, which is a totally different definition. They can overlap, but they're not the same. And in the 18th century, a definition of a pudding was, again, kind of completely different. Again, it wasn't necessarily a dessert. It certainly wasn't just a custard, although it might be a custard. But it could be, we know the term a black pudding or a blood pudding. And it can be something that's a lot more sausage-like. It can be a boiled pudding, which we just do not do in American cooking today. It can be a baked pudding, which we would just term a pie. We would just call it like, that's a pumpkin pie. Well, in the 18th century, they might call that pumpkin pudding or a squash pudding instead. And then, of course, we have something like a bread pudding. We are fairly familiar with that today. Again, not necessarily custard-like at all, but a baked pudding generally. So an 18th century pudding is definitely going to be a lot more scattered in what it could be. In fact, let's just bring that one slide up and let's just run through those names. And so we've got an oat pudding, which is probably a baked oatmeal pudding. Calf's foot pudding. And when they talk about calf's foot, what they're really talking about is gelatin. So they'll boil those calf's feet until you get the gelatin part. So you don't have there's no meat or bone in it. It's all it's basically gelatin. Pith pudding, it's a good question. We would have to look that one up. Marrow pudding, which is related to the suet pudding. You're using bone marrow in there as the fatty substance of the pudding. There we have boiled suet pudding and a boiled plum pudding. A boiled suet pudding and the plum pudding are the same thing, except the plum pudding has raisins in it or currants in it. There's a Yorkshire pudding, completely different And we've done a Yorkshire pudding, I think, on the channel. I think. Definitely something, and a Yorkshire pudding today isn't quite like the Yorkshire pudding of the 18th century. A steak pudding, which is a boiled, it can be baked, but basically it's slices of steak inside of a boiled pudding. Or if you could almost, if you made a meat pie that basically had steak in it, again, you might call that a steak pudding. A vermicelli pudding with marrow. So we've done that a couple of different times. Basically a noodle pudding. Oh, so good, so good. An Oxford pudding, I might have to look that one up. They might mean a couple of different things there. Hasty puddings. So, wait, rules to be observed in making puddings. I'm sorry. There'll be a hasty pudding down there later. So let's see, almond pudding, an oatmeal pudding again, a potato pudding. I don't know about that one. Now we've got an orange pudding, a lemon pudding, an almond pudding, a sago pudding, a millet pudding, a carrot pudding. Again, a lot of these are just baked puddings. Cowslip.
Please, I'm seeing in the chat, do not take shots every time John says take pudding. That's very dangerous. Yeah, good luck with that.
Maybe I'll stop saying the word. Quince, apricot, pear, pearl barley. What else? Italian, rice, custard, batter, grateful, a bread pudding, a cheese curd one, puddings and dishes, sweetmeats, ratafia, bread and butter, excellent. Cheap rice puddings, spinach. I don't know, guys. I wouldn't try that.
Pudding's basically like the casserole of the day where you
Yeah,
just toss stuff in it.
Exactly.
And it's like, it'll work.
It's more of a technique and a method, in fact, a series of techniques or methods than it is a particular
That makes
dish.
sense. They're like, I brought you a pudding.
Exactly. In fact, I think, do we have the definition in here? Did you do that one as a slide?
We did.
Let's see if we can find the definition here. These are never in the order I
I
want them in
know,
at the
I'm
right
sorry.
time.
I think it's in here.
It should be close. Here we go.
Pudding.
A kind of food very variously compounded, but generally made of meal, meaning flour, milk and eggs, or the gut of an animal, or a bowel, a gut, filled with certain mixtures of meal and other ingredients, or a proverbial name for victuals. In other words, it could mean, when they say pudding, it could mean anything. Is it food?
Here's the rules. They're vague, but at least we wrote them down.
Well, and this slide had, Lauren found this when she wasn't supposed to be working today. She found this, and this one has pudding time in it.
Pudding time. The time of dinner, the time at which pudding, anciently the first dish, is set upon the table, or in the nick of time, a critical minute. I love it. It's like, ooh, that's pudding time.
I'm going to use that. Like, I'm actually going to start using that. It's pudding time.
Right.
Well, and I noticed that in another newspaper clipping in the slides. I don't know exactly which one, but it's in there somewhere. If you can find it.
We'll run through.
I'll go back to the first one later.
Okay. Oh, wow. So we don't lose our way. So puddings in a sense today might be, termed dessert. We might think of them as one thing or the other. Interestingly, while we think of the hardworking laborer of the 18th century eating nothing but, I don't know, bread and water, in William Ellis's Country Housewife Family Companion of 1750, he's talking about a small farm holder who hires casual or seasonal laborers that might come in, 3 or 4 people, half a dozen people to come in and work at harvest time. And a lot of the book is based around how are you going to work with these laborers? How are you going to feed them? Because that was part of their wages, that you would feed them, maybe even have a kind of a bunkhouse or someplace. You can sleep in the barn, or someplace like that, something like that. And he talks specifically about the idea that these laborers will demand pudding. You can't get away without serving them pudding. This is the standard meal of the time period for these itinerant laborers. So you better have some kind of pudding. And he spends a lot of time trying to figure out how you can make, as the farmer, a very cheap pudding for these people. And so he does simple puddings, like raisin puddings. You just make a plain plum pudding, but just don't put very many plums in it, right? Or he does things like apple dumplings, which they would consider a pudding. And how can we get away with doing this pudding maybe without putting any sugar in it? And so we'll use apples instead of raisins in a boiled pudding, or we might bake it. But it's interesting that William Ellis here just does call out the idea that these folks are going to demand that they get a pudding. So it is an essential part of, well, even the clergyman here in this piece that I read earlier. He's like, we had a very plain supper or dinner, and of course part of that was a pudding. Right? It was like, oh, we're not having a complicated meal today. Here's your pudding. That's part of it.
Pig Guru says, anything that can be consumed has the soul of a pudding. Maybe the real pudding is the friends we made along the way.
Wow. Let's all
contemplate that.
Yes. Let's
Might need to take off your hat.
There's another chat that says, I can confirm every dessert over here in Scotland is referred to as a pudding.
Here we go. Right. So, and of course we just do not use that term that way here. I mean, if someone said pudding, what do you think they're saying?
Rice pudding, or the little pudding cups.
Yeah, exactly. The little pudding cups, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if someone says, I'm going to give you some pudding, you're going to say tapioca or chocolate, right?
Chocolate pudding,
right.
vanilla pudding.
Right. It definitely isn't going to be this like giant pumpkin-sized boiled thing that you could knock someone out with.
Bread pudding is probably the closest thing to that. Right. Do we want to do super chats?
Yeah. Yes, go.
We have 3.
Yes.
So Mandatory Carry says, thank you. I'll catch the rerun at the beginning of the live stream.
Thank you.
And let me see. Cake Boy says, I'm getting hungry here. What's the cost of a pudding in this establishment? We give away virtual puddings for free. Yeah.
And I've got a bunch of them.
Special deal.
I've got a bunch of them here.
I'm sitting them through the time stream.
Yeah.
It'll take a little bit, but just imagine. That Hook movie, just pretend the food.
Do we have any pudding emojis?
I don't know if we do.
We need a pudding emoji.
And then Max Arcool says, I'm hungry too. Tavern keep 4 small sticky toffee puddings or 1 large one, please. Thanks.
In fact, let's give out some puddings right now. Hold on, let me find them. Hold on, we're gonna spin through these. Where are they? They're gonna be here. Keep going. We're gonna come back to those, really. And so here is the first of the virtual puddings. This is the sometimes usually referred to as a white pot pudding. In the cookbooks, we might also see a reference to it as bread and butter pudding. I think if you're going to make it today, this would be called a bread and butter pudding, or even just a bread pudding. And we did one. We did the first one 14 years ago on the channel, and then we revived it 7 years ago. I think I'm going to revive it again, and so it's like it's been 7 years since we talked about.
The proof is in the pudding. It works.
See, that's in one of the. You're taking away my lines, man.
I know.
Oh well. Anyway, this particular white pot pudding is, in fact, one of my favorites. If someone says, what's your favorite thing you've ever done on the channel, this one is in the top 10.
Dad doesn't have a very favorite. He just has.
Yeah, my top 10 basically.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think that's everyone, like, if you ask them what's your favorite this, it's like it always ends up being this like list of 10 things.
Right.
It's like,
well, if you've done 500 of them, how are you supposed to pick? The top one. Here is your classic boiled pudding coming out of the boiling pot. And this one's probably boiled, for 3 or 4 hours, maybe only 2 if that one's pretty sizable, so it probably was a 3 or 4 hour pudding. I can't remember which one this is. It doesn't really matter. They all look the same when they're coming out. But I do want to always give the caveat to anyone who's ever going to do a suet pudding. If you ever do a suet pudding. And now the ingredients are typically available. You can find, because it's kind of a health food trend, you can find beef tallow in the grocery store, even where we live. It's amazing. And that's what you need for these suet puddings. If you're going to make your suet pudding, never, ever pour this hot water that's left over from boiling your pudding. Never pour that down your drain. I don't know what you're going to do with it. Pour it in your driveway or down your neighbor's sewer or something, but do not pour it down your sink, because that suet will harden up and clog your drains just like that.
Are you saying this from experience?
Well,
or
no, because we live out in the country and I always just dump stuff outside. But if you live in an apartment or something, it's like, John, what am I supposed to do with this?
just dump it out your window.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
I'm sure your neighbors won't mind.
No, nothing bad could happen. Anyway, just that caveat there. But here's one of those boiled puddings coming out of the water. This one is the mulberry pudding episode, which turned out so good. This was a suggestion from somebody, from a viewer, I think even a live stream person, I can't remember. But she suggested, it's like, oh, mulberries, they're getting ripe. And so I just went and found the mulberry recipe, which was this mulberry pudding. And it was spectacular and very interesting looking. Like a yellow baseball with a purple inside. It was really good, though. Really good. This one is that hilarious peas pudding episode that Ryan did, where the pudding comes out and goes.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
So this is about 8 seconds before he rolls it out onto the plate. You definitely want to watch that one if you're interested. Peas pudding, again, this isn't dessert at all, but they call it a pudding because of the cooking technique, the idea that you're boiling it like this. And it is a very interesting way of cooking it. Getting the peas to turn into this mushy ball without, if you just cook the peas in a pan, you can get them to this state, but it takes a lot more work than if you just shove them in this bag, basically, and toss them in the boiling water and let them set. So there's something about this, and that the whole classic thing of, if you're going to bundle something up in a cloth bag and boil it, that is the essence of a pudding, right? The idea that you would cook in a pud, which means a piece of gut. Kind of weird and disgusting. But here we go, another virtual pudding for you. This one is, I believe, the vermicelli pudding. No, wait. I can't remember which was. Yes, it might be the rice pudding. It was yummy, regardless. Because a lot of times they kind of look the same. They come out like that. This one is one I did with Ivy, an episode I did with Ivy. Do you remember the paw pudding episode?
Nope.
Even Ivy's done so many episodes she can't remember them. Anyway, the pawpaw pudding, it looks like a pumpkin pudding, but it was probably even better. Pawpaws, the problem is their season is so narrow. And so, you're lucky if you can find them over a 10-day period. They really happen, and not many people have access to pawpaws. So, but we wanted to do it because pawpaws are cool, and there's a pawpaw pudding. This was called the Grateful Pudding, and it's kind of a breadcrumb pudding with raisins in it. Excellent baked pudding. This one from first season, you can tell it's kind of fuzzy. We didn't have as many wonderful time vortex pixels in the time period, but this is an apple dumpling kind of pudding, and super simple. You put flour, a flour paste around your apple and boil it, and you have your instant apple pudding, and super good, and something that, yes, even the soldiers could have done. I don't know if I could find actual reference to soldiers doing it, but they could have done it because they had exactly the kind of ingredients to do that. This was, I think, Kevin at the time found a source of chestnuts, which it's hard to get the real chestnuts and because of chestnut blight problems, but we did a chestnut pudding here, which again we would just classify as a pie. Super interesting, super good. Not all puddings are dessert. Some of them are savory. A lot of them are savory, and this is a steak pudding, which we boiled in a dough, and it turns out great. Actually, it's really good.
What's not to like?
Exactly.
Steak.
Yeah, steak and dough. And yeah, you look at this and go, okay, now this one, I was looking at this today going, how did this thumbnail get by us? I've got a Band-Aid on my finger down there. But it ended up in the thumbnail anyway. This is a hasty pudding, and hasty puddings are incredibly popular in the time period. And you can see all that yummy butter floating up on top, and let me tell you, that is much better than it looks.
And so this one, it looks a little, it's not liquid, but it's not quite that round shape. Is it more of like a stew, like closer to a stew?
It's oatmeal.
But they just went
right
pudding.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to call this a pudding.
Yeah.
And the incredibly good Indian pudding made with cornmeal, so popular in the colonies, especially the northern colonies in the 18th century, and is still a New England specialty. Indian pudding is a tremendous dish, and you'll find those in like Amelia Simmons's cookbook, and so it's quintessentially American. Let me jump back, let you guys talk for a second while my voice tries to come back.
We do have a super chat that came in. John Paul Jones, 1776, says, "Afternoon, Patriots, Sons of the American Revolution, Florida Society member here. Thank you for the amazing clothing and amazing content. God bless, and God bless America."
Thank you very much, J.P. Jones.
It has been a busy year for the...
Yes. Yes. We have been very busy with the 250th this year, with lots of people saying, "Send me a tricorn hat."
And before July 4th.
Yeah, packages just flying out.
Yeah. Will is busy packing all the time.
All the hats.
Yeah.
Everyone's asking for tricorns, which if any of you need to order a tricorn,
Better do it now.
do it now
Yeah.
and put a note on your order that says when you need it. That helps us so much.
That's right.
Anytime you need clothing for a specific date, just let us know, even if you think it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I saw Kim today. She had this giant bag of hats. It's like a shopping bag that's like this big around and this high. And it was full of hats that she was taking to finish.
I that thing like warily, like, are you bringing it my way?
Not, it's full of hats. No.
No. And there's one more super chat. Max Are Cool says, very satisfied with your fine pudding offerings. A fine establishment.
Thank you. Every week I try to get to the brand new and renewing YouTube members as well as brand new Patreon folks. And here are some of the brand new and renewing YouTube members. Dozy Lion, Rock Jays, James, Wise Galling, something like that, Taki Tecmo, and then Jacob Frazier, Quicksilver Tears 921. It's like, what, Quicksilver Tears 920 was taken? You had Nan Zingrone, Sharemander 465, Ashley LeCount, Ronnie Banks, Anna Richardson, Tammy Kenton, and Death by Fugu. And we've got 3 new Patreon folks: Eric Anger, Bonnie Henley, and JStar2525. So thank you folks for your very, very kind support of what we do here on the channel, in the live stream, and everything else we do. I'm just waiting to see.
I'm good. I don't have anything left to say.
And yes, it is a good problem to have for the tricorn hat orders, just so you know.
Yes.
We appreciate the problem.
Yeah, truly, truly. Let's see. Some of the other puddings that I didn't mention on, yes, and it's like, take another, that I didn't mention. So we've got black puddings, yes. Sometimes made with sheep's blood, ox blood, or hog's blood, mixed with groats, oatmeal, suet, and herbs, and then boiled. So they're a lot more like sausages. We have white puddings and hog puddings, again, sausage type things. We have steak puddings, which we saw a picture of. Basically, we cook the meat inside of a stiff suet crust, boil it in a cloth. We have organ and marrow puddings. So calf's foot pith, which is the spinal pith of an ox. Don't ask me why. Liver puddings, cow heel puddings. We have other meat-heavy puddings, rabbit puddings, veal suet puddings, cabbage puddings, which might have cabbage and then other kinds of meats inside them. A pudding of cold meat. Of course, haggises meet this criteria perfectly. Haggises are very much a pudding. And you might even see puddings that have lungs in them, and
Ew.
Next. So we've got bread puddings. We got bread puddings, bread and butter puddings, biscuit puddings, where you use like sweet biscuits. It's like way too sweet. New college puddings, which have fried balls of breadcrumbs and suet and currants. We got the beggar's pudding, we got the poor man's pudding, made with stale bread. You could do rye bread puddings, sippets in a pudding, muffin puddings with dried cherries, and brown bread puddings, etc. Of course, we've got rice puddings, and I tried to get a decent picture of one of our Carolina snowball recipes. I can't remember whether we've done that more than once on the channel. I did one first or second season. And so imagine we put inside of our cloth rice instead of our flour or whatever, and the rice will turn into this solid round softball of cooked rice. You slice it open and you put a whole bunch of butter in it or something else, and you clamp it back closed and you boil it some more and then you open it up. So very good. We've got oat and flour and hasty puddings. Again, they're not baked or boiled. It's like oatmeal. Don't ask me why they call it a pudding. Sago millet, barley, vermicelli, so pasta. And then, of course, we've got standard puddings where we've got apples or pippins, plum puddings, hunting puddings, which are fruit cake. Just don't tell anybody that you boil them instead of you. Can be very good. I don't know why fruitcake gets a bad name. Maybe just because everybody's thinking it's going to be like chocolate, and they get this thing and they go, oh, this is what I want.
If you go to bite into something, you're thinking it's
Yeah.
chocolate. Anything's going to be disappointing
Right? It's like
after that.
this is not. This isn't good. We have. We did the mulberry. We can do that with anything, strawberries and other fruits, apricots and peaches and raspberries, cherries, etc. And so sometimes they're doing orange, lemon, or citron kinds of puddings, and I would have to look up exactly what they're doing with those. What kind of texture they end up with. We do see potato and carrot puddings where we sort of just mash them up and bake them in a pie form. And again, we wouldn't call them a pudding. It's like it's carrot pie, or I don't know if anybody's ever gonna invite you in if you have a carrot pie, but it's like
Carrot cake?
Yeah.
Now that's a different story.
yeah. You can go next door. Maybe they want your carrot pudding. Herb puddings, where we're mixing them with oats and baking or boiling them. Spinach and tansy. And tansy we don't use anymore in cooking. Tansy is kind of a bitter herb, and it's kind of poison. And there's a reason why we don't use it. I don't know why they thought it was good, but they did.
Listen, the rules in making pudding did not say you couldn't put poison in them. I read it. It didn't say you couldn't.
Right? No, it's possible. It's possible. I didn't say I didn't like fruitcake. It's just it's an obvious thing that people say they don't like fruitcake. I think fruitcake tends to be too dry in pudding form.
It would be good.
As a hunter's pudding, it's great. And I mean, anything you drizzle a whole bunch of butter and sugar and like brandy on, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Even fruitcake. Anyway, we also have, dairy, egg, and nut pudding. So custards that will be called puddings, almond puddings, chestnut puddings, quaking puddings, which will give you a jello-y jiggle kind of a thing going on, cheese curd puddings. There's a transparent pudding, which is clear, and it's a mixture of eggs, butter, and sugar.
How do you make that clear?
Well, transparent. It's not clear like glass clear.
How it's still?
We're going to have to try it. There's only one way. We'll have to find a... You want to do that together with me? We can do an episode together?
Would they have
Yeah, I
considered
guess.
like modern Jello pudding though? Like, would they have considered that pudding?
If you made it in a gut, yes.
If I get to mock their idea of clear while we do it, then yes.
The mock? That's kind of cruel, isn't it?
They're the ones that said it was clear.
Transparent.
Okay.
Transparent.
Okay. I think that transparent means you can see through it.
You're gonna have to stick your face up really close to it for the shot. You're just like, I'm trying to
Can
look
I
through
see
it.
through it?
We'll bring a very thin slice of pudding out. And grateful puddings, spiced bread, and flour pudding packed with raisins and currants. A spoonful pudding, which I thought was kind of fun. Those are little tiny puddings made with a spoonful of flour, a spoonful of milk, and 1 egg. So just one little individual pudding. That's kind of fun. We have puddings that are dyed with different colors. So they will use things like spinach juice to make green puddings, saffron to make yellow, cochineal to make red, or possibly even beets, which it's not worth it. Just because you liked red doesn't mean you should put beets in something. They say
Can
they're,
you eat cochineal?
yeah, they're just bugs. It's all right.
I don't want to eat bugs.
Well, you eat them all the time if you have red colored food, because that's a classic coloring for red. They don't call them bugs in the ingredient list.
Ew.
They call it red number something,
I
right?
didn't want to know that, Dad.
Well, you know it now.
I didn't want to.
Syrup of violets to make blue. That might be fun. Spread eagle pudding, which is a baked bread pudding with layers of raisins and currants and suet.
Do you think you could color the transparent pudding?
Yeah.
To be red, white, and blue? We could make a colored transparent pudding.
We're getting creative here, folks. Or does Ivy just want to disprove that you can't see through it by adding color?
We've got pancake pudding. I think we tried that on the channel. Friday pudding, which might be meatless. That's no fun. A layer pudding, which is layered with bread and then suet and then fruit. Sounds really good. And various ones that might be termed French puddings or Italian puddings, or so we got lots of fun things here. Let's jump into these slides that I have gone around here. Boston, 1773, and they're talking about making a pudding, and if you don't have eggs, it says 1 effective snow, and they're talking about snow, not something else, is you can take it up fresh from the ground and mix it with your flour puddings in place of eggs, and it will make it as good as using eggs.
Many people are saying this.
What?
It's just the same.
Right.
You know.
It's like, no, I don't think that's true. I don't have snow, so I can't do it. It would make a great experiment episode. We could base it all on this and say, are they lying to us? January 28, 1773, will snow work as eggs?
Townsend Mythbusters. I love
Yes,
it.
Mythbusters.
Snow's just water.
Exactly. You are correct.
Unless there was something really weird in their snow.
I don't know. I do not know. This is an advertisement, and they're advertising for empty bottles, I think. But they're also selling, apparently, wine, cider, and they also have other things like tin kettles and sugar boxes, candlesticks, jacks, which are little cups, japanned candle boxes, that's basically lacquered or painted black candle boxes, tumblers, colanders, nutmeg graters, of course, can't forget that, and pudding and saucepans. So pudding pans or pudding molds is what they're talking about there. We've got this little story, little joke here. A facetious gentleman going one day to Clark's in London to buy a black pudding. The girl at the shop wrapped it up in a sheet of printed music. I see, says he, my dear, you have set my pudding to music.
I thought this one was hilarious. I think that we should put dad jokes in our newspapers now.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was hilarious, Dad.
She thought it was funny.
You just wish you came up with that.
We need like a little cricket soundboard. Just
Yeah. Let's see. No. English. The English manner of living as the natives chiefly subsist upon indigestible, heavy animal food. Perhaps, says our correspondent, the descendants of Old England may at length be so refined by their new auxiliaries that they will adopt their regimen and prefer soup maigre, or meager soup, and fricassee of whatever those are, to roast beef and plum pudding. So, speaking of this idea that the English are the classic food from Old England is roast beef and plum pudding. Okay, so there we go. Here we have, again, England, roast beef and plum pudding on one side. So the bear there has a giant jug of beer, a giant plum pudding, and a giant section of roast beef. And then what's the French person over here on the other side? They got some onions and some toadstools, mushrooms, and a glass of wine. And that's it. So
The French guy is supposed to be a frog. Lauren and I thought he looked more like a cat.
a cat rat. Look at his feet.
don't
That's not
know.
cat feet.
Look at his.
Of course, the bear's feet don't look right either.
His leg looks like a. It's green.
We don't even know what he is.
How are you bad at being mean? Like they're trying to be mean about, hey, look at this, and then they make a cat.
Yeah, it's like, they're not even very good at it. Anyway, they're juxtaposing the food dishes here, garlic and mushrooms and wine, to this hearty meal. Who could not subsist on a giant section of beef and a huge boiled pudding? I had a piece of rich, sweet pudding on my fork when Miss Louisa Friendly begged to trouble me for a pigeon that stood near me. Basically, cooked pigeon on a serving dish. And in my haste, scarce knowing what I did, I whipped the pudding into my mouth. And so he was trying to get ready to give this person a pigeon from a different plate. He put the food in his mouth and it was burning hot, and bad things happened to him. He spit it out and everybody was making fun of him, or trying to help him. And he felt like a fool. This was just sort of one of those little
stories,
like a novelette.
Yeah, this reminded me almost of a Woodhouse.
Yes.
Kind of
little
thing.
short story.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's a classic where the cartoonist is using the concept of a giant boiled pudding. The world is a boiled pudding, and here are different rulers slicing off sections for themselves.
There are no rules that say you can't put the world in a pudding. Just saying.
Okay, that's right. Basically, pudding basically could be anything, and in this
Anything
case,
at all.
it's the world.
But I thought it was funny that the title of this
Mm-hmm.
was, I can't remember, was it the pudding in
plum
danger?
pudding in
Pudding
danger.
in danger, yeah.
Yes.
So there we go. Here's a little proverb: "Better some of a pudding than none of a pie." And apparently it's as the Italian for it. And then there's no deceit in a bag pudding. The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
So there's the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
And then pull hair and hair, and you'll make the coral bald.
See,
Okay.
that's different. Those are different ones.
Yeah.
Don't read those together. the hair, no, the pudding ones are different. This is interesting in that it is from 1880. So this is 100 years basically after our time period. And the art is amazing. It looks like a photograph. But she has made a hasty pudding, at least that's the title of it here. And her hasty pudding here, and the kid right behind her is like licking the spoon that they made the hasty pudding with. And her hasty pudding, she is made so stiff that it turns out of the pot and whole onto the cooking board. And you can kind of do that. I mean, you can make a hasty pudding and it's just sort of like oatmeal. But in this case, it cooked it so much that it just kind of flopped out as one big blob. What's going on back there?
Nothing.
You guys. Anyway. There's our pudding stone and our pudding definition. Here we have an anecdote about an Italian pudding. Did I read this one? A large house dog, taking advantage of the awful silence, rolled the pudding onto the floor and fell to devouring it. And then the sailor hit the dog for eating the pudding. We'll go on. That story's too rough. Americans, says a traveler, very much delight in pudding.
I think this is the proof is in the pudding one, the one where it
Right.
says, pudding time.
Yeah, at the end. Sir, I am glad to see you. You are come in pudding time. In other words, just in time. You've come in time to eat the pudding. They think themselves happy when they have a pudding before them. If you don't have anything else and you have a pudding, life is still good.
Better a bit of pudding than no pie.
Hasty pudding, a cure for quinsy. And quinsy is sort of like a sore throat, a dangerous sore throat in the 18th century. Upon which he desires the lady of the house to order the cook to make a large, hasty pudding. And then apparently it cures him. The doctor takes occasion to quarrel with him and dabs a spoonful of hot pudding in his face. So that wasn't nice. Boy, this is going to come to fisticuffs. Let's move on. Here is a little French cartoon with probably making fun of the English eating too much.
Probably.
Pudding, I don't know.
But that's what happens when you eat too much pudding, guys.
Too much pudding.
J.P. Jones says, was there a recipe for chocolate pudding in the 18th century?
There are not very many recipes that use chocolate, and if we had Mrs. Eel's recipe book, it might have a chocolate pudding. Did we do one in the chocolate series that you and I did when you were like 7?
I don't remember.
We did multiple chocolate episodes, Ivy and I. It was been many years ago now. What can I say? When she was little. Anyway, I don't know. That was tougher. I didn't. Let's say there might be one. But
Maybe somewhere, but you'd have to
dig for it. There we go. We're back to the beginning. Go ahead. Let's see. I was supposed to talk about some kind of product, but Lauren didn't bring it up here. I think it was skewers and stuff.
Oh, yeah. We have a new product. Which is skewers.
Skewers.
Little meat skewers, but they didn't get brought up here in time.
We'll
but
talk about
I'll
those.
pop that into
We'll talk
the
about
chat.
those later. We do have these just crazy, amazing mugs. If you're interested, made in the United States, wonderful Nutmeg Tavern mugs. If you're interested in checking out our website, yes, you can find tricorn hats there for your 250th celebration, or amazing Nutmeg Tavern mugs, or who knows what else. We have literally hundreds of products that you will not find anyplace else. That is what we do. Let's see, episode coming up. Ryan did one, and I think it's a crazy baked beans episode. So that's coming up. And I've got a couple of great ideas about some episodes coming up for me. So we're going to have a lot of fun cooking 18th century stuff. Next week's live stream, make sure to put it on your calendar. I will have a guest here in the tavern, and it will be Aaron, who does 18th century glass blowing, like the glass bottle that's back there and some other pieces. So we will be talking about glass manufacturing, specifically American glass manufacturing of the 18th century. That should be a fascinating live stream, so make sure to check that out. Anything last minute from your side? Ivy?
I don't have any super chats, so you're good.
Okay, super thank you to all you folks out there who are here in live stream and helping us out with the wonderful chat, your super chats, your memberships, your Patreon folks, your people who check out the merch. I want to thank Ivy on the console, Ivy in the chat, Will on the console, and I hope you have just the most tremendous pudding weekend ever. Thanks for watching.